Today we're starting statistics. Statistics is the science of collecting, organizing, and analyzing data, and it's a really popular application of math that we can see all around us. A statistical question is what guides our organizing, collecting, and analyzing data. There are important features of a statistical question. It's a question when you get 3 or more responses, so more than just a yes or no. It means it has a variety of responses. When we say a variety of responses, we mean there's variability in our answers. It also targets a specific group. An example of this statistical question would be, how tall are 6th graders? How much sleep does a Hinsdale Middle School student get per night? Another example of this is seen in example number 1 on your worksheet. Let's say you conduct an experiment on house mice. Your teacher asked, what is the weight of a mouse? This is a statistical question because there's many answers, as seen in the 20 answers that you collected. You collected 20 weights in grams of different house mice. Your first step is to display this as a dot plot. I have a number line here. Notice how my number lines go up by the same increment. I put a dot above the number for every number that I have there. So I have 20 grams listed there. I have 1 dot above 20, 19, 19, 21, and 21. Here is my data displayed in a dot plot. Now let's analyze the data that we displayed in the dot plot. Let's first talk about clusters. We can see right here, clusters are when we have 3 or more data points. This chunk right here, we see that we have a cluster there. A lot of our data points clustered about these values. Our clusters are 19 through 21 then. A gap in the data set is any time that we see holes or spaces. Right here, I can see that I start at 23 and I have some data values at 27, but I have nothing in between. I could call my gaps then, well, I have a gap at 24, 25, and 26. So I can say my gap is 24 to 26. Your peak, think about like a peak of a mountain, is the tallest point in your data set. As I see right here, 20 has 6 data values, higher than every other number, so 20 is our peak. 20 was our peak, not 6. Even though there are 6 data values, our peak is 20. Now let's talk about how we might answer this question. What is the weight of a mouse? Well, since 20 was our peak and we're clustered about 20, a good guess is most mice are about 20 grams. So this is how we take a statistical question, analyze some data, and come up with an answer with our justification. Let's take a look at example 2. This time we're going to use our dot plot again. This dot plot looks a little different than the one we did before. This is now vertical, not horizontal, but it works in the same way. If you were to be given the numbers to start off with, I'd have 3 numbers at 80, 5 numbers at 81, and so forth. This says camp temperatures in August. So here are all our degrees of our camp temperatures in August. Our first question says, what are some statistical questions that we could consider using this data set? Some examples I have are, what was the average daily temperature in August? And if I ask this question, I could show you my answers over here. Or how about, how hot was it at camp? Again, I can show you how hot it was at camp. So here are all the temperatures I recorded while at camp in August. How many weeks was I at camp? My first step here is to count, well, how many data values do I have? I have 3 here. I can add it with my 7 that's here. Sorry, I have 4 here, and I can add it with my 7 that's here to have 11. Plus 3 is 14, 15, 17, 20, 25, 28. Now, I recorded the temperature every day for 28 days. I recorded the temperature every day for 28 days. I still need to find how many weeks. So I know that 7 days are in a week. So I can divide this by 7 days and end up with 28 divided by 7. I was at camp for 4 weeks. If I ever ask you how many data values are there, that means just counting these dots since I have 1 dot for every data value. Now that we have our data, we could again analyze it for some peaks, gaps, and clusters. I don't see any gaps here, but what I do see is that I have a peak at 86. This time, instead of thinking in the tallest, I can think the longest, since my number line is now vertical. An answer to either of these questions here, let's say I asked you what was the average daily temperature in August, since my peak is at 86, I can answer you and say most days it was about 86 degrees.